The Cthar dominion stretched across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy, a testament to the ruthless efficiency of its military machine. For 16 millennia, the massive bipedal reptilians had conquered world after world, assimilating or annihilating all who stood in their path. Their warships, some the size of small moons, cast long shadows over the planets they subjugated. In the grand chambers of the High Command, war trophies from 1,000 conquered civilizations adorned walls that stretched hundreds of meters high. Supreme Commander Forlag, veteran of 300 successful planetary conquests, stood before the Strategic Council, his scaled skin bearing the ceremonial scars of countless victories. His massive frame, nearly 4 meters tall, was adorned with medals and insignia that told the story of an undefeated conqueror. The scout vessel Kralthak has returned from the Outer Rim with fascinating news, Forlag announced, his deep voice reverberating through the chamber. With a flick of his taloned hand, he activated the holographic display at the center of the room. A resource-rich world, previously uncharted, inhabited by a bipedal species calling themselves humans. The hologram showed a blue-green planet, third from a yellow star, rotating slowly. Preliminary scans indicate abundant rare minerals, vast water reserves, and a breathable nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere, continued Forlag. The native species appears to have achieved rudimentary spaceflight and basic digital technology, but nothing that approaches even our most obsolete military systems. The council members leaned forward, their interest piqued by the prospect of easy conquest. "Show us these humans," requested War Minister Grokash, a battle-scarred veteran even older than Forlag. The hologram shifted to display images of human beings going about their daily lives in various settings: cities, rural areas, oceans, and mountains. A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber. By Cthar standards, humans were laughably small, fragile creatures standing barely half the height of even the smallest Cthar adult. "They're so tiny," chuckled Science Minister Velthura, her golden scales glinting in the chamber's light. "Their limbs look like they would snap under the slightest pressure." "Their weapons are equally primitive," added Forlag, displaying images of human military technology. "Projectile-based, mostly, with limited energy weapons. Their most advanced aircraft can barely achieve hypersonic speeds. Their naval vessels would crumble under a single shot from our smallest fighters." "And their social structure?" inquired Intelligence Director Zinvex. "Fractured," Forlag replied with a dismissive wave. "Divided into nearly 200 competing territorial entities they call nations, constantly at war with each other over resources, ideology, and historical grievances. Many regions are technologically behind even their own planet standards." War Minister Grokash let out a booming laugh. "This hardly seems worth the full attention of the Dominion. A training exercise, perhaps." "Precisely my thinking," Forlag agreed, his lips curling into what passed for a smile among the Cthar. A fearsome display of serrated teeth. "I propose a minimal invasion force. The 17th Fleet is currently stationed at Outpost Jakath, less than 3 light cycles away. A small detachment should be sufficient to secure the primary resource nodes and establish dominance." "Approved," declared High Chancellor Dreskor, the ultimate authority in the chamber. "But do not underestimate any species, Forlag, no matter how primitive they appear." Forlag struggled to suppress a derisive snort. "With all due respect, High Chancellor, I've reviewed their military capabilities extensively. Their entire planetary defense network could be neutralized by a single Cthar destroyer. Their ground forces would be massacred by our standard infantry. This will be the easiest conquest in my 3 centuries of service." Nevertheless, the High Chancellor insisted, follow standard protocols. Thorough intelligence gathering before full engagement. Of course, Forlag agreed, though his tone suggested he considered such caution unnecessary. "I will lead the operation personally to ensure maximum efficiency." Within 3 solar cycles, a Cthar battle group departed from Outpost Jakath. Rather than assembling the overwhelming force typical of Cthar invasions, Forlag had selected just enough firepower to make the conquest swift and economical. One command carrier, 2 heavy destroyers for light cruisers, and 16 support vessels. Enough to transport 30,000 ground troops. A minuscule force by Cathar standards, but in Forlag's estimation, more than adequate to subjugate a planet of fragile primitives. Aboard the command carrier, Forlag addressed his officers. This operation will be conducted with minimal resources for maximum efficiency, he declared. We will target their primary defense installations, neutralize their leadership, and secure the most valuable resource deposits. I expect complete planetary submission within 10 standard cycles. Colonel Thrascor, a younger officer with a reputation for thoroughness, raised a concern. Supreme Commander, our intelligence on their defensive capabilities is still preliminary. Perhaps we should deploy additional reconnaissance drones before committing our forces. Forlag fixed the colonel with a withering stare. Are you suggesting that these miniature creatures pose a threat to Cathar military might? They've barely mastered basic rocket propulsion. Not at all. Supreme Commander, Thrascor backpedaled. I merely suggest following standard invasion protocol. This is not a standard invasion, Forlag replied sharply. This is resource acquisition with minimal resistance. We will proceed as planned. The Cathar battle group entered Earth's solar system 17 days later, decelerating from faster-than-light travel at the orbit of Neptune. They moved methodically inward, their advanced stealth systems rendering them nearly invisible to Earth's rudimentary detection technology. Their first act of war was to neutralize humanity's orbital infrastructure. Satellites blinked out of existence one by one as precision energy weapons silently eliminated them. Military communication networks suddenly went dark. Surveillance systems failed. The global positioning system that much of Earth's military and civilian technology relied upon simply ceased to function. In mission control centers around the world, technicians frantically tried to understand what was happening. Initial theories of solar flares or technical malfunctions quickly gave way to the terrifying reality as the first visual confirmation came through. Massive ships of alien design, moving with impossible precision toward Earth. On the bridge of his command carrier, Forlag watched with satisfaction as Earth's primitive early warning systems were neutralized. Like taking toys from an infant, he remarked to his executive officer. Begin Phase 2. The invasion force divided as planned. The heavy destroyers positioned themselves over 2 major population centers, one over Beijing, the other over New York, while the light cruisers spread to other strategic locations. The command carrier remained in high orbit, from where Forlag could oversee the operation. Commence demonstration of force, Forlag ordered. Brilliant beams of energy lanced downward from the destroyers, striking with surgical precision. In New York, the Empire State Building vaporized in an instant. In Beijing, the CCTV headquarters disappeared in a flash of light. Similar demonstrations occurred simultaneously across the globe. Iconic structures reduced to nothing, yet with minimal civilian casualties. This was not mercy, but calculation. Forlag wanted the humans functional for resource extraction labor. Transmit the standard surrender message on all their communication frequencies, Forlag commanded. Give them 1 hour to respond before we escalate. The message was simple. Submit to Cathar authority or face annihilation. It was translated into every major human language and broadcast globally, overriding all radio, television, and digital signals. Global panic ensued. Some governments immediately called for surrender negotiations. Others frantically mobilized their military forces, despite the obvious technological disadvantage. Emergency sessions of the United Nations Security Council dissolved into chaos as representatives argued over the appropriate response. After exactly 1 Earth hour, with no unified response received, Forlag gave the order, begin limited military engagement. Target their primary defense installations. The Cathar ships launched precision strikes against military bases, airfields, naval ports, and missile silos worldwide. Within hours, much of Earth's conventional military capability lay in ruins, with surprisingly few human casualties. Again, a calculated decision rather than compassion. Prepare ground forces for deployment, Forlag ordered. Primary targets as designated. The first Kthar landing craft descended toward a strategic location in the American Midwest, a region chosen for its agricultural resources and relative distance from major population centers. 30 massive drop ships, each carrying 1,000 Kthar soldiers, broke through cloud cover and approached their landing zones. The humans had managed to scramble some fighter jets that now attempted to intercept the alien craft. F-22s and F-35s, the pride of Earth's air forces, launched missiles that either missed completely due to advanced Kthar countermeasures or detonated harmlessly against energy shields. Amusing, commented Forlag as he watched the footage from the command carrier. Like insects trying to stop a storm. The Kthar dropped ships, landed, and ramps lowered to discharge their cargo. The first Kthar soldiers to set foot on Earth stood nearly 4 meters tall, encased in powered armor that enhanced their already formidable physical strength. They carried energy weapons that could vaporize a human tank with a single shot. Initial resistance was exactly as Forlag had predicted, ineffective and easily crushed. Human bullets ricocheted harmlessly off Kthar armor. Tank shells were absorbed by personal shields. Attack helicopters were swatted from the sky by shoulder-mounted anti-aircraft weapons. Colonel Thrazkor led the ground operation, advancing methodically toward his first objective, a human military installation that intelligence suggested was a command center. His forces moved with the confidence of inevitable victory, barely bothering with cover or caution. The first indication that something was amiss came 3 hours into the ground operation. Supreme Commander, Thrazkor reported, his voice tight with uncharacteristic tension. We are encountering unexpected resistance. Forlag frowned. Clarify, Colonel. The humans are employing unusual tactics. They're avoiding direct engagement, instead using hidden-run attacks that target weak points in our formation. They've already disabled 2 assault vehicles by targeting their sensor arrays with precision fire. Impossible, Forlag dismissed. Their weapons cannot penetrate our armor. They're not trying to penetrate, sir. They're targeting joints, viewports, cooling vents. And they're using the urban terrain to their advantage. We've lost 12 soldiers to improvised explosive devices hidden in abandoned vehicles. Forlag's frown deepened. Adjust your tactics accordingly, Colonel. These are merely desperate measures by a primitive species. Continue the advance. But reports of similar issues began coming in from other landing zones. In Europe, a Kthar platoon had been ambushed in a narrow mountain pass, losing an entire squad to avalanches deliberately triggered by human explosives. In Asia, Kthar forces found their communications systems suffering inexplicable interference, forcing them to rely on less secure backup channels. This is nothing to be concerned about, Forlag insisted to his increasingly uneasy command staff. Primitive resistance always occurs in the early stages of conquest. They will break soon enough. To accelerate the process, Forlag authorized the capture of human specimens for study. A special operations team was dispatched to secure a military installation where human soldiers had shown particularly effective resistance. The operation was successful, resulting in the capture of 20 human soldiers, members of an elite unit identified as special forces according to their insignia. They were transported to the command carrier for interrogation and analysis. Dr. Maldar, chief xenobiologist of the expedition, conducted the initial examination of the captives. Fascinating specimens, he reported to Forlag. Physically, they are indeed as frail as we expected. Average height of 1.8 meters, muscle density approximately 1/3 of Kthar standard, skeletal structure relatively brittle. Then explain how they are managing to cause any casualties at all, Forlag demanded. Their adaptability appears to be exceptional, Maldar continued. Their equipment, while technologically inferior, has been meticulously designed to maximize effectiveness. Their body armor incorporates materials we haven't encountered before, some kind of advanced composite that offers significant protection despite its lightweight nature. When interrogation began, the Kthar encountered another surprise. The human captives displayed remarkable resistance to standard Kthar intimidation techniques. Despite their physical vulnerability, their psychological resilience was unexpected. They maintained unit cohesion even in captivity, reported the interrogation specialist. They communicate through subtle signals we cannot fully decode, and they reveal nothing of value despite progressive pressure. Increase the intensity, Forlag ordered dismissively. They will break. But even as the interrogation continued, the situation on the ground was deteriorating in ways that Forlag refused to acknowledge. Colonel Thraskor's forces had secured their initial objective, the suspected command center, only to find it was a decoy, a facility designed to appear important but containing nothing of value. Meanwhile, the real command center, hidden deep underground, continued coordinating resistance. In other theaters, Kthar forces began reporting equipment malfunctions. Weapon systems would suddenly recalibrate to incorrect settings. Navigation systems would indicate false coordinates. Communication encryption would fail without warning. Supreme Commander, reported the Chief of Communications, we have detected multiple intrusion attempts in our network. The humans appear to be actively targeting our systems with cyber attacks. Impossible, Forlag snapped. Their technology is centuries behind ours. Nevertheless, the communications chief insisted, something is compromising our systems. The intrusion signatures are unlike anything in our database. Dr. Maldar requested an urgent meeting with Forlag. Supreme Commander, I've completed a more thorough analysis of human technology recovered from the battlefield, the xenobiologist reported. I found something disturbing. Maldar displayed a holographic image of a circuit board recovered from a destroyed human device. This appears primitive at first glance, he explained, but upon closer inspection, certain components show technological concepts that should be beyond human capability based on our initial assessment. This quantum processing node, for instance, it incorporates principles that suggest knowledge of subspace field manipulation. Forlag stared at the image, his earlier certainty beginning to waver. What are you suggesting, Doctor? I'm suggesting that human technology may be more advanced than it appears. They may be deliberately presenting primitive technology while holding more advanced systems in reserve. Before Forlag could respond, an alarm blared through the command carrier. The tactical officer's voice was tight with disbelief. Supreme Commander, we've lost contact with Destroyer 2. What do you mean, lost contact? Forlag demanded. Complete communications blackout, sir. Its transponder signal vanished approximately 3 minutes ago. Last known position was in low orbit over the human territory designated India. Sent a reconnaissance drone immediately. The drone's footage, received 15 minutes later, showed only debris where the massive Kthar destroyer had been. Somehow, a ship containing over 2,000 Kthar crew and capable of planetary bombardment had been utterly destroyed. Analysis. Forlag Huavet. The tactical team worked frantically, examining the limited data available. Finally, the chief weapons officer spoke. The evidence suggests the destroyer was destroyed by multiple simultaneous detonations from within its hull, sir. Some kind of infiltration. That's impossible, Forlag insisted, though with less conviction than before. Our security protocols. Sir, interrupted Colonel Thraskor via emergency channel from the surface. We've captured a human sabotage team attempting to infiltrate our forward base. They were carrying these. The video feed showed tiny devices unlike any human technology they had cataloged previously. Dr. Maldar examined the image and blanched visibly. Those are quantum-synchronized explosive devices of Kthar design, Supreme Commander, but miniaturized to an unprecedented degree. A cold realization began to dawn on Forlag. Are you suggesting the humans have adapted our own technology against us? The evidence increasingly points in that direction, Maldar confirmed quietly. Intelligence Director Zinvex, who had been analyzing all incoming data from the invasion, requested permission to address Forlag directly from Cathar High Command. Supreme Commander, the intelligence director's hologram spoke gravely. We have been conducting deeper analysis of Earth's information networks since the invasion began. We have discovered something that should have been identified before the operation was authorized. Explain, Forlag demanded, a sense of dread building within him. Earth has experienced multiple extraterrestrial contacts prior to our arrival. At least 2 crashed scout vessels from other civilizations have been recovered by human authorities over the past 70 Earth years. These incidents were concealed from their general population, but led to significant technological leaps in their military capabilities. Forlag felt the scales on his neck rise in alarm. Why wasn't this discovered in our preliminary reconnaissance? The humans maintain elaborate disinformation networks, Supreme Commander. Their public technology and their actual military capabilities are deliberately misrepresented. We believe they detected our scout vessel when it entered their system and allowed it to observe only what they wanted us to see. As if to punctuate this revelation, reports began flooding in from all Cathar ground forces. Coordinated attacks have begun against every landing zone simultaneously. Human forces were now employing weapons that could penetrate Cathar armor. They moved with precision that suggested intimate knowledge of Cathar tactical doctrines. Their communications were now completely indecipherable to Cathar monitoring systems. Supreme Commander, Colonel Thrascor reported from the surface, his voice strained. We are facing a full-scale counteroffensive. The humans are deploying what appear to be mechanized combat suits that enhance their physical capabilities. They're smaller than our troops, but moving with extraordinary speed and coordination. We're taking heavy casualties. Forlag watched in disbelief as tactical displays showed Cathar positions being overrun across the planet. The tiny army that he had so confidently dismissed was systematically dismantling his invasion force. Order all ground forces to regroup at defensible positions, Forlag commanded, his strategic mind finally acknowledging the gravity of the situation. Prepare orbital bombardment to cover their retreat if necessary. But even this order came too late. Human forces had somehow obtained the encryption keys for Cathar tactical communications. False orders were being transmitted, leading Cathar units into ambushes or causing them to fire upon their own forces. We've lost control of the battlefield, admitted the tactical officer. Ground forces are in full retreat, but extraction is being hampered by human air defense systems that shouldn't exist. Another alarm sounded, this time from the ship's internal security system. Intruder alert in multiple sections, reported the security chief. How did they get aboard? The answer came moments later as security footage showed tiny drones, barely visible to the naked eye, infiltrating through ventilation systems and maintenance ducts. Some carried explosive payloads, others electronic warfare packages designed to compromise ship systems. Purge all computer systems, Forlag ordered desperately. Revert to manual control. The final blow came when the main view screen activated without command, displaying the face of a human, a female with dark skin and close-cropped hair, wearing what appeared to be a military uniform. Supreme Commander Forlag, she addressed him by name, speaking perfect Cathar. I am General Amara Wilson of the Earth Defense Force, a force you were never meant to know existed. Forlag stared in shocked silence. Your invasion has failed, she continued calmly. 70% of your ground forces have been neutralized. 3 of your vessels have been destroyed. The rest, including your command carrier, have been compromised by our infiltration systems. We can destroy them at will. Finding his voice at last, Forlag demanded, How is this possible? You are primitives. General Wilson smiled thinly. We learned long ago that appearing weak to potential aggressors offers a significant tactical advantage. Your reconnaissance observed exactly what we wanted you to see, a fractured, technologically limited species. The perfect bait for an arrogant empire. The Cathar Dominion has conquered 1,000 worlds, Forlag snarled. You cannot hope to stand against our full might. Perhaps not, Wilson acknowledged. But we don't need to. By now, your high command has received our message. along with comprehensive data on your failed invasion and the true extent of Earth's defensive capabilities. They know that any future attempt to conquer Earth would require resources that would severely weaken your defenses against other rivals. The cost-benefit analysis is no longer in your favor. Forlag knew she was right. The Cathar Dominion, for all its power, was pragmatic. Costly conquests were abandoned in favor of easier targets. You have 1 hour to recall your remaining forces and withdraw from our solar system, Wilson stated. Any Cathar vessels remaining after that time will be destroyed. This is our only warning. The transmission ended, leaving Forlag staring at his reflected image in the darkened screen. A conqueror who had just experienced his first defeat. In the Grand Council chamber on the Cathar homeworld, Forlag stood before his peers, his posture rigid with humiliation as he delivered his report. The Earth operation was a complete failure, he admitted. Our intelligence was catastrophically flawed. The humans possessed technology far beyond our initial assessment, including adaptive systems that allowed them to quickly counter our tactical advantages. How could such a grave miscalculation occur? Demanded High Chancellor Drezkor. Forlag had no satisfactory answer. They deliberately projected an image of technological inferiority. Our scout vessel observed what they wanted it to observe. Their entire planetary infrastructure is designed to conceal their true capabilities. Science Minister Velthora, who had laughed at the images of humans just weeks earlier, spoke soberly. Our analysis of the technology recovered from the failed invasion is concerning. The humans have not only achieved quantum engineering comparable to our own, but have miniaturized it to a degree we thought theoretically impossible. Their information systems architecture is unlike anything we've encountered, adaptive, self-evolving. Intelligence Director Zinvex added, most alarming is their psychological profile. Unlike most species we have encountered, humans evolved as persistence predators with a particular talent for asymmetric warfare. Their entire history is filled with examples of smaller forces defeating larger ones through superior strategy, deception, and unconventional tactics. We should have recognized these traits as dangerous rather than dismissing them as primitive. What are the resources the planet contains? Asked War Minister Grokash. Substantial, Forlag admitted, but the cost of extraction would now be prohibitive. The humans have demonstrated the ability to destroy our capital ships. Any invasion force would need to be at least 50 times the size of my expedition, with correspondingly higher casualties expected. The High Chancellor was silent for a long moment, considering. Finally, he spoke. Earth will be designated a prohibited zone. No Cathar vessel will approach their solar system without explicit authorization from this council. Intelligence will continue monitoring from a safe distance. Forlag expected demotion or worse for his failure, but the High Chancellor surprised him. You will retain your command, Forlag. Your experience is now invaluable. You're the only Supreme Commander who has encountered this species in combat. You will develop comprehensive defensive protocols in case the humans decide to pursue us beyond their system. After the council adjourned, Forlag found himself in the great observation dome atop the High Command Tower, staring at the distant stars. War Minister Grokash joined him in silence. We laughed at them, Forlag said finally. Their size, their apparent technological backwardness. We called them the Tiny Army. A mistake we will not make again, Grokash replied. Nor will any other species, once word spreads. And spread it did. Through the complex networks of interstellar diplomacy and espionage, the story of Earth's defeat of the mighty Cathar Dominion became known to other spacefaring civilizations. The tiny army that had humbled one of the galaxy's greatest military powers gained a new reputation. Small in stature, perhaps, but possessing a uniquely dangerous combination of ingenuity, adaptability, and ruthless efficiency. Several minor powers that had been considering Earth as a potential conquest quietly abandoned their plans. A few more enlightened civilizations began cautious diplomatic overtures, recognizing the potential benefits of alliance rather than conflict. On Earth itself, the truth of the invasion and humanity's response remained classified at the highest levels. To the general public, the brief appearance of alien ships was explained as a reconnaissance mission that departed after making contact with world governments. The reality that Earth had come within hours of potential subjugation before its hidden defenses turned the tide was known only to a select few. In a secure facility deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, General Wilson reviewed the after-action reports with her international counterparts. The Earth Defense Force, a clandestine organization formed after the first extraterrestrial crash recoveries in the mid-20th century, had performed beyond expectations, but the margin of victory had been narrower than she would have liked. "The Kthar won't be back," noted her Russian counterpart, General Petrov, "but others will eventually come. The mineral wealth of Earth alone makes us an attractive target, not to mention our biosphere." "Then we continue as we have been," Wilson replied, "presenting a modest external profile while building our true capabilities in secret. The Kthar gave us a valuable gift. Their technology will advance our defensive systems by at least a decade." In his personal quarters aboard the Kthar flagship returning to home territory, Forlag reviewed the battle records for the 100th time, searching for insights that might redeem his failure. His attention focused on footage of human soldiers in their powered armor suits, moving with precision and coordination that had confounded his troops. They were so small compared to his warriors, half the size at most. Yet they had turned this apparent disadvantage into multiple tactical benefits, requiring less cover, presenting smaller targets, maneuvering through spaces Kthar soldiers couldn't access. Forlag thought of the ancient Kthar proverb, "Judge not the predator by its size, but by its kills." His people had forgotten this wisdom, growing complacent through centuries of easy conquests. The humans had taught them a costly lesson, one the Kthar Dominion would not soon forget. Size and strength were merely factors in combat, not guarantees of victory. Strategy, adaptability, and the will to fight could overcome seemingly insurmountable odds. Most importantly, Forlag had learned that appearances could be deceiving. The tiny army had turned out to contain some of the most formidable soldiers he had ever encountered. As his ship accelerated to faster-than-light speed, leaving Earth's solar system far behind, Forlag made a personal vow: the Kthar would never again underestimate any species based on superficial assessment. In the vast darkness of space, there were many predators, and some of the deadliest came in small packages.